Hello and welcome to News Laundry. Today we have with us the President of the Janata Party, Mr. Subramanian Swamy. Sir, before we move on to the many other things we want to talk about, you were saying something about the economy, the mess the economy is in.
Yes.
You think it's similar to 91? Because you...
It's not, it's a different kind. See, there the problem arose when I took over as Commerce Minister and senior most minister at that time. The problem was that when Rajiv Gandhi became Prime Minister, he couldn't dismantle the Soviet system, a Soviet model which we had adopted. So what he did was he opened it up by saying to the business community that you can import from abroad provided you take the money abroad, I mean in forms of loan. Now what these business people in this craze to get new machines and so on, because they had been denied all these years by the Soviet system, they took short-term loans and bought long gestation period machines, you see. So we ran out of money, I mean foreign exchange. And that was the crisis, and it was compounded by the Gulf War I and so on. So when we came, I thought that the first thing we ought to do is first of all get some money, which we got by essentially placating the Americans by allowing their planes to land for refueling in India. And they helped us get a big fat loan from the IMF in those days, $2 billion, a lot of money.
Did Manmohan Singh have anything to do with
No,
that?
no. Manmohan Singh was at that time a civil servant. He came in as advisor, economic advisor to our government. And Montague Singh was my commerce secretary.
Considering you were on the same team, so to speak, how is it that you are so anti the government now? I mean, you were once working with the same people, weren't you?
Well, not only I was a minister because Rajiv Gandhi extended support.
And now Sonia Gandhi is your pet peeve.
Then, so I must have found out something about Sonia Gandhi which makes me...
Which I'll come to.
I don't mind telling you what it is, but I don't know whether you'll be able to show it.
No, I mean, it's on your website. You have
yes,
actually...
Yes, that's right.
I mean, some people would say it's, I mean, it's bizarre, the kind of claims.
Well,
I mean, and first of all, the two things I have.
They all
one
think
is...
they are Supreme Courts.
one, you have accused her of being a KGB agent.
Yes, she has received money from KGB and she has worked for the KGB, yes.
How come your website has been taken down by Kapil Sibal? It's on your website.
Taken down? Taken down or not taken down?
Yeah.
How can he take it down? I'll go to court.
So this is on your website.
And that will give me more publicity. Right now, they have managed to see that all the standard, the usual media doesn't utter a word of all this.
Can you prove this?
Prove what? To you?
The claims. No, as in court. I mean, like, let's say they will shut you down.
I went to the court. Oh yeah, if I go to court, I don't have to prove this. There I will have to show that it's my fundamental rights has been taken over. And I haven't said anything which will disturb public order. But did I prove on her KGB? I went to court. I filed in Delhi High Court in the year 2000. The Delhi High Court issued notice to the CBI, go and find out. CBI went to Moscow, and if you interview Jaswant Singh, he will tell you that he too wrote a letter to the Russians. And the Russians said, yes, we can give you the original, the documentation, but you must get a letter rogatory.
If you think there is...
Wait a minute, I'm not completed. So if you get a letter rogatory, so the CBI came and reported to the court that to get a letter rogatory from an Indian court to be given to a Russian court, you need an FIR to be registered. So we'll take instructions from the government. But the Vajpayee government refused to register an FIR.
Why is that?
You ask the Vajpayee government, don't ask me.
Okay, why do you think the media doesn't take this up? I mean, you have criticized, just a second, you've criticized the media on several counts on they don't take up, some of the major issues. Since we are primarily media critique website, why is it that the media won't take this up?
They are all vulnerable to predators in the government. They have many things to hide. Some of your editors have disproportionate assets which they can't explain away. They have large number of houses which they couldn't have bought on their salaries. Some of them want junkets from the government. Some of them want scoops from the government. It's a variety of reasons. Some people run their television companies has done a lot of cutting corners. I know one television company which is involved in the 2G matter, and they are sitting on a cat on a hot tin roof. So they are vulnerable. You can't fight corruption in this country unless you are squeaky clean. That is, there is nothing they can find.
And no one is, that's what you're saying?
No, media know very few. I mean at the management level where they call the shots. I know media people get SMS from Mr. Chidambaram, don't show Swamy on TV. some of the reporters have shown me these SMSs. So it's a man, Ahmad Patel, Miss Sonia Gandhi will not invite you for dinner unless you are saying very flattering things about her, including how great a scholar she is, even though she hasn't passed the 5th class.
Okay, you wrote a piece in the DNA.
Yes.
Where you have spoken about Muslims having a Hindu ancestry.
Yeah.
And in the aims,
they should admit to it, that's all.
Why is that important? I don't get it.
That's important because it unites
And you actually even suggested, I think, that it should be compulsory for them to acknowledge their ancestral heritage.
I said they should be should acknowledge that their ancestors are Hindus. Otherwise, they should have a voting right. That's what you said. That was the objection.
Yes.
Objection.
Isn't that a bit much?
Well, it depends on how you see our history.
How are you even going to do that?
No, that's a different matter. I'll have to be in a party which comes to absolute majority.
No, okay, let's say so what you're going to have, let's say there's some Muslims who say, okay, we acknowledge our Hindu ancestry, some they say we don't. So they wear a star, like what?
No, they won't. They have to declare the voter on their voter form. You see, voting voter is not a fundamental right. It's just a right.
But how is that even important?
It's important because it creates an identity for India, that we are a nation of Hindus and those whose ancestors are Hindus, and brings us closer together.
But technically, let's say there are some whose ancestors aren't. It's possible.
Like whom? I know.
It's possible someone who's come from Saudi Arabia and settled down here.
You mean freshly?
Let's say their forefathers came from Saudi Arabia and settled down here. Let's say a couple came from Saudi Arabia.
When? How long ago? And they brought Saudi Arabian women with them.
Yeah. It's not possible. No, I'm just. You're going to check every DNA.
No, it's not a question of DNA. If a person says I'm not, I'm not, and the thing that I can do to him is not to give him the right to vote. That's all. I mean, let him be. He can be an Indian citizen. I have no objection.
What does that achieve?
What does that do? It creates an identity for India, which I told you. India is a nation of Hindus, and those others who acknowledge that their ancestors are Hindus. We are a continuing civilization.
Sure. No, what I'm trying to figure is that some of the issues that you take up are, pure academically you back it with documents such as the 2G case. You have fought the 2G case fairly successfully. But on the other hand, at least from where I see it, some of these demands are way bizarre. I mean, like this Muslim demand. I mean, I don't even understand how you could even do it.
I don't know what
how could you do it? I mean, how would you actually execute it?
I told you, all you have to tell the election commission is don't register anybody who doesn't declare that either he's a Hindu or that his ancestors are Hindus.
Does that apply for Sikhs and Christians as well, or just Hindus?
Sikhs and Christians, of course, their DNA, I mean, they will openly acknowledge it.
Okay.
They won't say that we are Hindus, but they will openly acknowledge, yes, his ancestors are Hindus.
Are you a religious man?
Me, it depends on how you define it.
Do you pray?
Oh yeah, I certainly do. What else
do you go to temples? No, I'm just
no, temples rarely.
Okay.
I mean, I go for political purposes, like some temple is taken over by the state, so they will invite me. But most people think.
So what do you pray for? Like what's in your prayer?
Don't you think that's very personal?
Exactly, it is. Religion is very personal.
No, religion is not.
That's my point.
Prayer is personal. When you ask me what I pray for, religion is not personal. You can declare your religion.
But if you don't want to, let's say someone let's say there's a form and they say.
I'm not saying that then you say that your ancestors or your father, mother were Hindus, or your grandfather were Hindus, or great grandfather were Hindus.
What if no one was? No one acknowledged religion. That's not possible.
No vote for you.
Sorry?
No vote for you.
So suppose you're an orphan and you don't know where you came from.
Well, we'll tell them
then you don't vote.
No. If you're an orphan, you don't know where you came from. I can make some special dispensation. That someone who was an orphan,
so then you have to prove you're an orphan,
will be exempt. You see, a man is mental patient. He may not know.
No, we're talking about orphans, not mental patients.
So I'm saying I can make exceptions.
Okay. Okay.
Don't make it ridiculous by pushing it to extremes.
I honestly do think it's ridiculous.
And by the way, this was not a proposal. This is a proposal of mine. I wasn't saying that if the Muslims don't agree, then run a riot. I said if you are in a position to do it, we'll do it. Because I'll tell you another thing which I've left out. When we divided India, we divided India between those Muslims who...
Who's we when you say we divided India?
That is the Congress party which represented us.
Okay.
If you have a definitional problem, I don't know.
No, I was just checking.
I'm a professor, we used to definitions. When we agreed to divide India, at that time the question became that a part of India should be given to those who don't want to live with Hindus.
Okay.
That's I mean even you can't deny that history.
No, that they wanted an Islamic country.
No, they said they were, you read Jinnah's speech. He said I can't live in a...
But as a Muslim, as a leader of the Muslim League.
No, he said Muslims cannot. You accepted that he was the leader of Muslims afterwards. So he said Muslims cannot live with
only
Hindus.
Muslims.
He said Muslims cannot live with Hindus.
No, what I'm saying is only Muslims. He wasn't representing the other communities.
No, who would accept him?
Right. Yeah.
You know what happens to in Saudi Arabia.
Sure.
Do you think the minorities can build a temple there or a church there? So he said that I need a separate country. Now this is accepted. Now once you accept that separateness, that there are those Muslims who felt they had nothing to do with Hindus should be given another country. So those who live in our country, they must have some identification with the Hindus. I reject this modern Western liberal Nehruvian concept that India is a republic. No, secular is all nonsensical words. I don't know what it means, and neither do you. So just bandy it about. If you want, we can have a debate on secularism too.
Do that as well.
But what I had, you see, India is an ancient nation. It's not a nation which was put together by the British. Right? So what is that ancient nation? It's a Hindu culture. It's not a Hindu religious culture state. In
so
fact,
you say all tribals are also part of the Shaivite or Vaishnavite tradition?
Yeah,
many of them don't acknowledge they are. They are tribals who don't...
You take me to meet them, they must be Maoists or they must belong to your Western gang, you see. The tribals I meet, they in fact say Ramchandraji is like us, because we use bow and arrow, he used bow and arrow, and our wives are constantly kidnapped like Ramchandraji's was kidnapped.
Well, even Attila the Hun used bow and arrow. That doesn't mean they're Huns.
I'm talking about what the tribals tell me. You don't have to be,
No, I mean that's it doesn't.
If you're going to argue with me, then you will need a few days, I think. We have a system. We have a system called Shastrat in our Sanskritic system. You argue, and if you lose, then you have to convert to my view.
Okay,
that's how Hinduism converted Buddhism.
As in argument. Converted Buddhism, as in all Buddhists are Hindus.
They made them Hindus. No, we were a Buddhist country at one stage, and Shankaracharya made us all Hindus.
The Shankaracharya Renaissance of Hindus.
Yeah, Adi Shankara. Yeah, that was by discussion. And the final guru of the Buddhists.
So what, you go to each person and debate with him?
He went to all the prominent leaders who represented the society.
I see. Okay, when you speak about the media not taking up issues, you have also put out that you've gone and addressed a lot of gatherings, you've addressed a lot of... But the media doesn't take that up.
Not only that, there is a... See, listen, there are a lot of interests which work. I'm not saying that the media is not a black and white picture. There are a lot of interests at work. The businessmen are there. Supposing there's a corrupt businessman whom I'm exposing, and he's very powerful, say like the Ambanis. Then what he does is he ensures that his influence in the media, some of the media...
Have you tried to take on the Ambanis in any case?
I have. You're a kid, you don't know what all has happened in this.
In what year?
2000.
Okay.
I went to court, and I also got them, prevented them from being listed in the New York Stock Exchange.
And why was that?
Because their disclosure standards are not international.
I see.
The board of directors of stock market, New York Stock Exchange, and invited me for a luncheon meeting where I made out this case.
Now, when you say the IPL should be stopped,
so I am saying that these businessmen, they try to paint
have
a picture.
influence.
They know there's nobody with him. Of course, there are others also. Congress Party, particularly now, would like to make out I'm a loner. I say bizarre things which you also recycle.
No, some.
Oh,
I qualified. Some of the stuff is I personally,
if you don't
I
understand
don't
something,
think,
you say bizarre.
I said I don't think it is possible to make every person in this country say that yes, this is my ancestry. Like you said, there may be orphans, there may be people who.
That is
I
your
mean, you
opinion.
can't possibly.
I was told that nobody will give up socialism in a poor country like India. People gave it up willingly. I was told that democracy is not something that the people of India care for. In the emergency when I was fighting, I don't know you. I don't know whether you were born in '77.
I was 2 years old.
Yeah, all right. You didn't know anything about what's going on. And it was I who was one of the fighters. In fact, I was the fighter at that time.
But
the people voted for democracy.
Sure, but at the same time, what I'm saying is a person who has said 3 things that are correct doesn't mean everything the person
I'm not
said is
saying
correct.
that I'm infallible. Listen, don't be
So I'm
smart
just
aleck.
saying. I'm just saying that you're saying I was only talking about.
I am only telling
it's not
you
possible.
that you could be wrong too.
Sure.
You can't be judgmental
No.
on this matter and say that this is bizarre. Well, it may be bizarre to you, but one of these days you may yourself turn around like many people have turned around. Today, I would say, large members, I would say 70–80% of this country thinks that what I'm saying is correct on every issue, Hindutva issue, of course, corruption issue. On every issue I speak on, I can tell you this is the impression I get. So we'll see.
Another thing that I want to speak about is your economic fix for present.
Yeah.
You're saying it's very different from 91.
Today the problem is different. It's a bankruptcy of the government. The government has, the problem has arisen because there is a diarchy today. By that I mean the two centers of power. One is headed by Ms. Sonia Gandhi, who is primarily interested in populist measures. And the other is Mr. Prime Minister, with the office of the Prime Minister, which he is not able to exercise and overrule the views of a body which has really no constitutional status. It's a statutory body. Mr. Manmohan Singh is not able to do anything which in his if he had a good boss he would do, which he did when Narasimha Rao was his boss.
So he works well under a good boss.
Yeah, under a enlightened boss.
So he's not leader material.
It's not a question of leader. He's just doesn't have a spine, and you need spine to be a man who will bring about change. You can be a leader. There are a lot of leaders whom I have a very poor opinion about, like Jawaharlal Nehru. I think Manmohan Singh was better than Jawaharlal Nehru, but that's a different matter. I don't want to go into those comparisons at this stage. If I were today asked to produce a package, the step 1 would be abolition of income tax.
I see.
And to compensate for that, I would cancel all the licenses given for coal and
auction them. And for every resource.
And of course, ultimately that. See, so today, and then you see, if you bring out an ordinance nationalizing all the bank accounts of Indian citizens in secret banking areas, there are about 70 of them or 77 of them, and say that anyone who can prove that his account is legitimate and the money is legitimate will defreeze it and give it back. Then you will get about 70 lakh crore rupees back to
Where does that figure come from? Is there any
It's a worked out figure. You wait for my next book, you will get. Yeah, of course it's scientific. We are economists who have been trained in mathematics.
Because Ramdev came with a figure of.
Ramdev, I don't know who he is. He didn't take it from me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm his
I was
friend.
just wondering where these figures
No. 70 lakh crores is my estimate.
I see. Okay.
And it's
he's a friend of yours, Swami
a
Ramdev?
very, very close friend, good friend.
Okay. You have in closing, I'll just ask, full disclosure, I'm a sympathizer of Team Anna and a member of Team Anna.
Oh, those Naxalites. But you I can see from your beard and your long hair.
Just because I have a beard and long hair, that means I'm a Naxalite? Is that
no, it's a necessary condition, not sufficient condition.
Maybe I just don't like blades.
As I told you, there's a necessary condition, not sufficient condition. You know the difference?
Prashant Bhushan doesn't have a beard.
Prashant Bhushan doesn't have a beard, no, he's a Naxalite, definitely.
Okay, but why is this complete disdain that they're all Naxalites? I mean, that's an extremist position to have.
It's a mutual. They have complete disdain for politicians. I have complete disdain for them.
They don't have complete disdain for
politicians.
politicians.
Oh, they do, by the way. Kejriwal, everywhere he speaks against me.
No.
Because there's
against
so much
you?
pressure.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you are not there when the decisions are being made.
No, but he's never come in public and said anything against you.
Oh yeah, he has not said anything against me in public, of course. That's the Naxalite style. You see, it's all clandestine.
All Team Anna is Naxalite.
Certainly, Kiran Bedi is not. I would consider Manish Sisodiya, is it?
Yes.
He is a Naxalite.
I see.
And Naxalite means just disruptionist, you see. All this business of that unless you have a new law, nothing can happen. I've proved that is false.
Raja's out, you know that, right?
So what? He's not out, he's on bail. There is something called bail in democracy. Have you heard of it?
Of course.
Naturally, being Naxalite, it doesn't come spontaneously to you, see. To think of bail. He'll be back in jail at the end of the year.
You're confident about that?
Oh, absolutely.
And who else? Like,
well, I'm working on seeing that Chidambaram also goes.
You think that'll happen?
I think so. The case is very strong. So I've gone to Supreme Court, they've reserved orders. Let's see what they say.
Thank you from one Naxalite. Thank you for your time.